Kala Brown never imagined that a day at work with her boyfriend would turn into the worst day of her life.
Do you know where your buddy is?
Charlie?
Yes.
He shot him.
He shot him?
Kala and her boyfriend, Charlie Carver, had found casual work in rural South Carolina. But they never imagined the macabre surprise their boss had in store for them.
He actually took us to the property this time instead of just giving us the GPS address because it was his personal property.
Thus, their employer, Todd Kohlhepp, set out to drive them to the destination.
He unlocked the gate and he drove his vehicle through and we drove our vehicle through, and he got back out of his car and locked the gate back behind us.
Both cars traveled about 6 kilometers until they arrived at a property in the middle of this huge piece of land.
There was a large garage. At the time I could see that it was two-story, but at the time I didn't know what was on the second floor.
At that point, everything was beginning to indicate that the job they'd been offered wouldn't have a good turnout. Once in the middle of this remote and lonely property, Todd set about explaining the work that they had to do.
And he wanted us burst and clip the underbrush. He gave us both some hedge clippers. He said he was going to take us and show us what trail he wanted us to start on.
This marked the start of what would be the worst nightmare of their lives.
Todd put me on the ground and handcuffed me and cuffed my ankles and put a ball gag in my mouth. And then he told me he had to go take care of Charlie. He left me there.
But Kala never imagined what this really meant.
Todd Kohlhepp shot Charlie Carver 3 times in the chest, wrapped him in a blue tarp, put him in the bucket of the tractor, locked me down here, and I never seen him again.
Okay.
He says he's dead and buried.
The next day, their relatives began to worry and alerted the authorities, starting a search that lasted over 2 months.
I mean, he let me know that I was his property and that I'd never go anywhere. And
Kala Brown endured months of constant abuse by her abductor.
that's what he told me. As long as I served my purpose, I was safe. As long as I didn't fight back or run, I was safe.
So Kala knew she had to play Todd's game to stay alive.
I had to stay alive in order to be found. And I realized that it was easier if he thought things were going his way. So I made him think whatever I had to stay alive and to keep him from abusing me.
After a while, the police linked the missing couple to Todd after tracking down the place where Kala's cell phone was last located, finding it at Kohlhepp's house, beginning a series of raids on his properties, which led them close to Kala's location.
He normally got there at the earliest around 10. I think it was 9 o'clock. I started hearing noises, so I thought he was there early. And then I heard the lock, but he never came in. And then the lock, it kept making noise at the door. And then I heard somebody's voice. I couldn't say anything, I couldn't breathe, I panicked.
Finally, the police had found her, alone, chained and terrified in a cold, dark container. After her rescue, Todd was immediately arrested, and hours later, Charlie's body was found along with those of 6 other victims. After the discovery, Todd confessed and was sentenced to 7 life sentences.
I'll always miss Charlie. I always wonder what our life would have been like.
Una de las principales consecuencias a las que se podría enfrentar la víctima es a un estrés postraumático, ya que este se desencadena ante un suceso estresante o amenazante para casi cualquier persona.
Despite the fatal outcome of the story, Kala feels blessed to be alive, and even though she lost a lot, she couldn't help but feel like a winner.
I would just tell him that no matter what he did to me, he did not break me. He cannot destroy who I am, and I won.